Says
Are you
somebody.
recording? Yeah. I was so proud of myself too because I got everything done without typing furiously at the last minute. So I was kind of feeling relaxed and prepared. All right, everybody ready? It's going to be a wild ride.
Oh boy. Yes. Is it still snowing in Troy?
It
It's
is.
it's
Oh, I
just
thought it was.
Oh,
yeah. The sun's starting to come out up in Clifton Park. It's just starting to clean up a little bit.
There's snow outside, but I can't tell if it's just like blowing off my roof.
You'll have to snow blow tonight. All right, enough snow. Let's. We're at 125. That seems like a good number. Owen
okay.
says it's still snowing. Just got in from shoveling.
Thanks. Well, let's get started then, so we can all get back to shoveling. Welcome back, everyone, on this lovely. I wish it was Friday, Tuesday, February 9th. I think the year is wrong. Just noticed that, but next up, a lot of really important but organizational things to get through today. Next slide. Mainly focusing on team formation. Next slide. Just go through the agenda and I'll hand it off. So we have just some general information since now we're getting into kind of the middle of the semester. Professor Stern is going to talk about external project pairing. We had a lot of external projects this semester, so we were still ironing out how we can keep track of all that. So we have some slides on that. And we'll talk about what meetings will look like going forward in the semester. And then briefly about Discord. And if you've been looking at the server recently, hopefully you'll see some changes, at least if you've submitted on Submittee. So I'll hand it off. Next slide.
So these lines are a little blurred right now. We started a week late, so we're actually, closer to here. We're on our third week of classes. This is the week to finish up. We're just finishing up our projects and just getting started on the execute on project. So, we need to get teams formed. We need to get projects submitted. We need to get you start working on your project teams. So that's going to be kind of the focus. It's going to be the focus for this week, not kind of the focus for this week. And then we have a nice long period to work before we head into wrap up, where you all get rich and famous because of all the wonderful things you've done. Off to see the wizard. Hunter.
Yeah. So, welcome back to Mentors. So, if you are a mentor, your name should be on this list. If you are not, you still have a chance to. Beep. So, by chance, that kind of just means like we're hoping that today's the last day that everyone will join, so that way we can kind of get all the mentor groups figured out. So, last call for mentors. Just a reminder again, mentors are absolutely vital to the mission of RCOS. We need enough mentors so that way we can handle the size of all of the groups, especially now that we have so many external groups. More mentors, the barrier. So, definitely, if you want to be a mentor or you're even considering it, today, definitely please submit that form and we can hopefully get you a mentor or get you as a mentor. Beep.
All right. So because we have so many projects, so many external projects this year, there's been a little bit of confusion. So I just wanted to kind of clear this up and hopefully get blow away the fog and get rid of all the confusion. So external projects, they're just like internal projects, except you have an external mentor. You should be coordinating with your external mentor. So if you're having problems reaching them or something, please let me know. But you should be, discussing things with them and making sure that you're all on the same page and that they actually know you are working on the project. I think that some of the IBM projects have set up Slacks, which is fine. But you should use Discord or Slack or whatever tools you've been given to kind of figure out who your teammates are. Now, I'm not finding a way on Submittee to easily give external mentors access to Submittee. So that means it's going to be on you, right? Every project needs two things. They need a team the people that are going to be working on the project, and they needed a proposal so that we know what you're doing and so that we can publicize it, right? I mean, I read through pretty much all the proposals. We put them up, we'll have you put them up on in some database. It's been Observatory up for 2 now. I'm not sure what Frank and the crew have. Frank and Steven and Nia have been working very diligently on completely confusing me with a new database and a new version of Observatory. But we will be putting your proposals up. We'll be putting your repositories up in some kind of storage so that when you guys come to me and ask for a recommendation, I can go back in and kind of take a look at what you did and what your project were and provide a little background, and future generations can see what you did and everything else. So all that's going to be the same for external projects as well as internal projects. So that means that you have to get from this point of talking to the external mentors to the point where you have a project and a team formed. It doesn't matter which one of you, on most of our projects, above a few people, we're asking one person to take the project lead role. If you have an external mentor, you can pretty much assume that they'll, depending on how involved they want to be, it's likely that they will function as the project lead. It doesn't really matter. We still need one of you, it doesn't matter which one of you, to go in and create a team on Submiti and invite the others, right? Which means you have to know who the other people are. So that's where the whole Discord Slack thing comes in. Once you've done that, the next step is to start creating a proposal. Now, a lot of the mentors, the external mentors, have projects already, have proposals, have project descriptions, have proposals. I know OED does, Institutor, Pi, Clarion, a lot of them already have project proposals. Some of them, like some of the IBM projects, are a little bit more open, particularly the call for code. This can be an iterative thing. You're not going to get a bad grade because you submitted a proposal that wasn't the best. The proposals are to provide guidance for you throughout the semester, and they're to provide insight for us into what you're working on, right? So it's important we get one of those in along with the project team. Write up what you plan to do, a short paragraph about your global vision over, till the end of time or however long you think that this could stretch on. A specific paragraph about what you're working on. Frank will cover this in more detail, and this applies to all the projects. And then some milestones as to things you think you're going to accomplish this semester. It's not, and then teammates or whatever to kind of flesh it out. It's not a big barrier. Every team only needs one project proposal that should cover the entirety of the team. If you're a singlet, if you're working by yourself, you still need a proposal, right? Your team is you, and you need to have a proposal. Work with your mentors. Make sure that your vision or what you're trying to accomplish fits in with the overall project. If they don't have a proposal already, hopefully they have a proposal, and that simplifies the whole thing for you. But if they don't, you're responsible for writing it up. Please write it up, and please make sure that they understand and agree with what you've said. Okay, so what constitutes a team? There are single projects like Social, OED, Pi Clarion. Most of the projects are one. Most of the external projects are one project, right? So you're all on one team. You only need one proposal. Only one of you needs to log into Submiti and invite the others. The others need to accept. And then any one of you on the team can upload the proposal in the next couple of days. There are other projects, in particular IBM's Call for Code, where it is not obvious that everybody doing a call for code is on the same team, right? Try to find some partners. 4 to 6 is optimal in general, but you can do a singlet, you can work 2, you can work 3. Find somebody who shares your vision if possible. Use Discord, use IBM Slack, however you're working on that. Figure out among all the people working on Call for Code what the teams are, and then go through the process, right? One of you on each team, right? Maybe there's 3 different groups working on racial justice, environmental change, and natural disaster resiliency or something. right? You would need 3 proposals and three project teams. I can't tell you what they are. I'm happy to try to broker stuff, but the best way to do is to use the Discord, the collaboration tools, to figure out who you're going to be working with, and then just go into Submiti and build your team. The reason we're using Submiti teams is we can actually do all of our grading on Submiti, and I can run rainbow grades and everything like that. And then when you guys do presentations, or you do mid-year submissions, or you do you do your proposal submissions, the things you do as a team, I can go in and we can look at that thing once, and it sends out the information to everybody. And it makes everything a lot simpler, and it gives me one central location that I can work on for both this class and open source software for doing all the grading. Okay. And again, every project needs a proposal, and it must be defined on Submiti. If not, then we're kind of missing this whole, and I'll be contacting you and saying, hey, you're on Submiti, but I'm not seeing a project. Can do you have a team? Do you not have a team, etc.? Any questions? Okay.
If I can quick throw something in, Professor, onto that. For who this applies to, please do this sooner rather than later. I was able to create, and we'll discuss this later in the slides, Discord channels and roles for all RCOS projects. We've had to hold off from doing that for external projects yet, since we don't know what the teams are. So as soon as you get those proposals in, and we see those in Submiti, we can create your private channels for you, and you won't have to depend upon those public project pairing channels at the bottom. That's all.
Cool. Thank you, Frank.
I have a quick question. So do I need to do something to get into Submiti? Like, I don't have Submiti access for RCOS.
Just let me know.
Okay, sure.
I'll put you in. This is Uzma.
Okay. Yeah, yes.
I'm fairly certain I recognize the voice.
Yes, you did.
So for any RPI person, instructor, student, graduate student, I can put you into Submiti. The externals, I don't know that I can do that.
Okay.
I certainly haven't found a way so far.
Sure.
So if you just let me know, I'll do it. There's actually a sign-up form going around. So if I forget, Professor Mushtaq, let me know. You can either hit the form or just ping me on our CS Slack channel.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Now, kind of along with this, we looked at all the teams that have formed today, and then I subtracted that number from all the people who have signed up for RCOS, and we come out to be about, thank you, Frank, I didn't know where that was. We come out to be, as of 9 o'clock this morning, half of you hadn't joined or been invited to a project team. So that means about half of you are in an indeterminate state. And I don't know whether that means you formed a team, but you guys just haven't created your team on Submiti, or whether you're still looking for teams. So I put a little posting in Slack. Hopefully any other projects that are looking can also respond to this. But I found I found 5 projects that are looking for students. The Linux Foundation project in particular doesn't have anybody yet, and they were very interested in going forward. And if you look at them, right, this is the Linux Foundation. This is one of the groups that actually is responsible for continuing development of Linux. So this would be a really cool group to get in with. I've talked to them a couple of times. They're pretty open to different focuses, but they have some really cool testing and continuous integration, continuous development stuff that would really be an excellent project. And you'd get exposure to the Linux Foundation, and that's like great karma. And you would probably lead a charmed life ever after for that. Also, we have Pole Buddy, Xalender, and Lavender. Those are all our local projects. I'm going to hit through those in just a second. And then we have Open Energy Dashboard, which is one of our projects, an external project this is from a group that I work with in teaching open source. We've been talking about getting together and doing some collaborations for a long time, and yeah, so this is a really cool project, and Steve is a really excellent, by all measures, excellent in open source development, and is doing some. It's a really interesting project, and it has some life, which is kind of useful. We also have I just got an email from Professor Stewart, head of the department today. He's been reading the New York Times, and the New York Times is saying how hard it is to actually figure out where you can get the vaccine, what vaccines are available, and make appointments. There are a couple of people who have worked on different aggregators of COVID calendars. It turns out that you have to be pretty tech savvy to sign up for your vaccine. And he thought that this might be something that might interest some of you. So that's an alternate one that you can consider. There's no project around this one yet. You would have to found your own project, maybe find a couple of friends. But it's certainly something that could be considered. And then I had an update from IBM. It's gonna be hard for them to support the Kubernetes project. So, don't go looking at that one. And if you're in that one, you're probably not going to have a lot of mentoring. So if you're looking forward to the mentoring, maybe you want to consider switching projects. All right. And then just to kind of run through these, this is the Linux Foundation, right? They're looking for open source networking, or their project is on open source networking. It's a good project to get into. Xalender, Sneha has been with us for a long time, and that creepy fangirl is not, I wouldn't necessarily think that was her. So make sure you understand the the Discord channels, but that they've been going on for a couple of semesters. They're still looking for people. Poll Buddy is still looking for people. So if you have an interest in replacing iClickers, Lavender programming language. They've had some awesome discussions about programming languages right away. And here's Open Energy Dashboard, Stephen Hussler-Litterman. This is a nice HFOS project, so if you want to get involved in that, that would be writing bugs one line at a time. Okay, so yeah, it's another really good project to get into, and they're also looking for people. I didn't see any more, but I'm sure there are more, and I'm going to turn this back over to Frank.
On that note, please make sure you are on Submitty. There is the form in the due dates channel. I think it's the second to last message. You must be on the RCOS Submitty for us to recognize that you exist in RCOS. So if you know anyone on your team that hasn't joined the Submitty yet, or is planning on doing it for experience and doesn't necessarily want to join Submitty, joining Submitty doesn't mean, it's not a commitment if you're 0 credits. It's just for us so that we can keep track of everyone. You must be in Submitty. Thank you to everyone who already has done that. I think recently Professor Turner went through that list and put everyone who had submitted in. So I'm sure we'll do that again soon. Fill it out, no matter what you're doing RCOS for. Next slide.
Oops.
And just a brief reminder on how to choose a project. Again, this is why we require Submitty. Something weird, the Create Team button doesn't automatically create a team. You click on that, and then you can choose whether to join a team or create a team from there. So project leads, make sure that you have discussed with your members, gotten their RCS IDs, and invited them to your team. I also ask that you make sure the person who pitched the RCOS project, so this is an internal RCOS project, the person who submitted that Google form to pitch their project, if you pitched, is the same person that makes the proposal team on Submiti, right? Since the easiest way to identify a project is not by name, since you might spell a name differently every time you mention it. It's the project lead's RCS ID. So just make sure you have the same person submitting the forms, even if you're a project that has technically multiple project leads. We pushed back this deadline a little bit. Not sure if that's the exact deadline now, Professor, Friday the 12th, but since external projects are a little bit trickier, we're pushing it back by a few days. But please do this as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw in there, we're pushing this back for expediency's sake, but the sooner we get these in, the better off we're going to be. And if we get them in well in advance of Friday, we can make your Friday a lot easier.
Yes, more time to work on your projects. That's all for me.
So I'm going to talk a bit about small groups. Traditionally, projects are grouped into small groups headed by a mentor or two. You meet with your team in, the same room as you would with other projects that have a similar kind of field or technology to yours. We did this. It was a much larger deal when we were in person because you would actually have multiple projects in the same room in MSC Inn or in Sage Hall or wherever. Despite being no longer in person, we're still keeping the same structure. And so if we go to the next slide, I believe it's the next slide. Yeah, we are going to have categories on Discord where we attempt to match mentors' skill sets to what certain projects use and the needs of the projects. And we also, I think, have a format where if you want someone specific to be a mentor for your group, you can request them. And so, yeah, that form's in the due dates channel. And if you have a request for a particular mentor, fill it out as soon as possible. Next slide. There are, between now and when we create small group categories, we already have private channels out for each project. Or at least I think each one that's already on Submiti. So definitely you can use those, talk with your team members, talk about, work together on writing your proposal and determining your role in the project for the semester. And, they're there so you can use them. Next slide.
All right, so for a little bit details about our post meetings going forward. So we have been doing what we call large group meetings for the last 2 weeks. Those will continue and they'll keep being on Tuesdays and Fridays like they always are. These will be stuff like general announcements. Sometimes we have some guest talkers, some guest speakers. Sometimes we have some other demos to show off, obviously attendance as well. But now we're also going to be adding small groups. So these small group meetings are where you actually meet with your project team and like actually work on things. So this is where you can get a little bit of flexibility. So say you have some people in a different time zone and the RCOS time doesn't work super well for you. You guys get to pick whatever time you want as long as it works for your team. And then you guys can just meet then. Usually it's about twice a week is what you should aim for. You can go for more, but you really probably shouldn't do any less. And then basically that's where you can get some work done on your project. We're also going to have mentors check in with the project leads periodically just to make sure that people are actually showing up and know what's falling behind. Next slide, please. All right, so one of the things you can do in your group meetings now is work on the project proposal. So all projects must submit a project proposal that basically just goes over some of the basic ideas about what your project is, how many people you have working on it, who they are, and really just what you're going to do this semester. So there's a little bit of an example here from late a couple years back over on the side. You could also go to the handbook for a couple more examples. I believe the project proposal lit up in blue is actually a link you can get to the handbook with. So if you open up the slides, it should be pretty easy to access these resources. And then next slide, please. Finally, what is happening next class? So next class, we're gonna get the small group formed. Basically, that's just a group of different projects that a mentor oversees. So that way you can kind of go to them for help pretty easily. They'll generally keep an eye on things, make sure everything's progressing well. As for mentors, you guys will be assigned to these small groups that will be formed. And at some point, probably Friday, you will also be contacted about setting up a mentor meeting time. So that's just where all the mentors meet with the coordinators and obviously Professor Turner. So historically, that's just been they send out a when is good. So you just fill out sometimes you're available and then a meeting time is determined that way. And then obviously projects also should start working on their proposals. Those are due Friday, so you definitely want to get started on those as you've only got a couple days to get those finished up. If you are done with your proposal, say your existing project, generally the proposals don't change a ton semester to semester, so that could go quick. You are welcome to start working on your projects as soon as you want. Definitely all the commits that happen right now are all worthwhile towards your open source grade. So say you're going to get busy, you think you're going to get busy with other classes later in the semester, these commits now will help make sure that your grade doesn't suffer for it. As long as you just have stuff pretty consistently, be good to go. Beep. I believe you are muted.
Yes. Good thing I have a big blinking red light to tell me I'm still muted. Okay. This is the same as it always is. 3 ways to attend. You can do it via venue on a QR code. You can do it via venue by watching the entirety of the meeting once I upload it to venue. What if I did that last time? I may have missed that last time, but no one complained, so you guys obviously aren't doing that. And you can do it by putting a secret password into Submiti. So let's look at the I'll open this check in first. And normally that comes up. Where is that? Little rascal. Normally it comes up and pops into another window. Apparently it's not doing that today. Okay, so I will have to do this myself manually. And we will... Okay, so there's the... There's the QR code from Venue. And let's... It's a lot harder when it doesn't show up. All right, and let's look at Submiti as well. The Submiti password, I think, is join and something. Join and propose is the Submiti password, and the other password is, or the QR code is right there. I will remember to upload this one to Venue at the end of, as soon as I get it processed. And can you see all those? Let me paste this into, I'll paste this into the chat as well. Okay. All right. There we go. No punctuation this time, no funky characters, just join and propose. Any questions? We're going to let you guys go a little bit early. That means that you should use this time to form your groups. And if you have already formed your group, you should start writing your proposal. And if you already have your proposal written, you should start figuring out what you're going to do this week. we will not start status updates this week, but we will start them next week. So start thinking about getting stuff done and making some progress. All right. I am going to hang out for a little bit. I probably will not. I will probably hang out till 6:15 or so, in case there's any questions, and then I'm going to log off myself. So if you have any questions, please stick around now and ask me. I'm killing the tape. So, if it's something you don't want taped,